It's the sauce, Alex Zayn.
This is Watts.
Make sure you like, subscribe, Ring General Podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Ring Generals, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Absolutely.
Do it, or I will get you.
And you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
Well, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.
That's right. That's
Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals Podcast, WrestleMania 37 preview. I am Nick Nenad, and alongside me today is Easy E. Eric Santos.
It's cooking, guys.
And, of course, the RKJ Man.
Let's talk that talk, y'all. Hypocritical Nick. It's WrestleMania time? Really?
It is WrestleMania week, a power pack week for WWE as far as programming goes. They have Monday Night Raw tonight, the night we're recording. You will get this podcast on Tuesday. That will be Hall of Fame night. You have NXT TakeOver on Wednesday. That extends all the way till Thursday as well. Then you have Friday Night SmackDown, the last show before WrestleMania. And then WrestleMania, a 2-night event. The way this podcast will work, we're going to go over night 1 first. And then we're going to go over night 2. So we're not just going to be talking about rapidly the matches, and we're not going to go all over the place. We'll try to keep you. So if you want to watch night 1 preview, you can watch that and not watch night 2, and you can still watch night 2 after. So we won't talk about night 2 when we're talking about night 1. And so we're going to try to stay as positive as possible as well, guys. We were just talking about that as well. As far as the builds go, guys, we all know the builds. This has been the worst build to WrestleMania in history. We're not going to lament on that. We're going to try to talk about the matches and what we expect and what we're excited about. And also, obviously, tag along that some builds have been so bad that we aren't even excited about the matches. But we're going to try to stay as positive as possible today on the podcast today. So, night 1. It should be main evented more than likely by Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We'll talk about that in a second. But the other matches on this card include New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. I believe this is Omos' debut wrestling in the ring. Yeah. That will be for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. Bad Bunny versus The Miz. Cesaro and Seth Rollins, and then, of course, Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Guys, let's talk about WWE Championship match to start, okay? A weird build like we mentioned. Drew McIntyre has been, the champion of Raw, should we say, for most of the year and since the pandemic started and since last WrestleMania. He goes against Bobby Lashley, who's part of the now broken up group of what's the name?
Hurt Business.
Hurt Business. Yeah. They've broken up now. Lashley's been, he looks like $1 million. Everyone's excited he's champion, but an odd matchup because of the build. So RKJ, I'll give you your first take. What are you looking for in this match, and what do you think happens?
First of all, I think it's going to be the first matchup on the card. And a lot of people are arguing of, hey, that shouldn't be the first matchup on the card because it's a title match. Well, you should talk to WrestleMania 27. We're going to talk about Edge in night 2. He started that WrestleMania against Alberto Del Rio. So, and then WrestleMania 35, we were there a few years ago. Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar started off WrestleMania 35. So it's not uncommon to see a main championship match for a world title be defended in the first match of WrestleMania. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You're going to come out. You're going to be the first people out with fans. That's going to be a huge booster for the rest of the show and for one and night 2. Let me just be honest here. I have no clue who's winning this fight. I have no clue because I could make arguments for both guys. Drew McIntyre, you give him the title in front of the fans. That'll make a difference. You make up for last year and him winning against Brock Lesnar with no fans. But on the other hand, Bobby Lashley has looked so good and so dominant. And he's honestly just been built like a badass. So it puts you in one of those weird situations where it's like, hey, if you put Bobby Lashley without the title, what is he going to be doing afterwards? Is he going to be feuding with the Hurt Business again, which should have not broken up in the first place? Yeah. That's ridiculous in itself that, those guys went to Vince McMahon and he still broke them up. But what is going to happen for Drew McIntyre? Is he going to turn heel? Is he going to go away? Is he going to get traded to SmackDown in the future draft, I guess? But here's what I got to do. Here's what I've got to do, because I've got to pick regardless. I'm picking Bobby Lashley to win this fight. And the reason why I'm picking Bobby Lashley to win this fight is because the fact of the matter is he's been the stronger guy heading into this build-up. And he has a better build around him. So Bobby Lashley is going to be my pick right now. But to be honest with you, it's a toss-up for me.
Eric, the Hurt Business, like we mentioned, they broke up. But why do you think they would break them up this close to WrestleMania? We obviously have Bobby Lashley as the heel. So the fact that his group is breaking up on him like 2 weeks before, when they could have helped him win the championship and elevate the Hurt Business, to me it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think it hurts the match a little bit, because I would have loved to see Drew McIntyre at least try to beat the odds. Whether he did or not is a story in itself. I think the story now turns into nothing essentially for this match, and it turns into just two big guys fighting. And we're going to have some Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman type of match where the guys are just kind of hitting their finishers on each other. Why do you think they broke up the Hurt Business? What do you think the logic is behind that?
I'm on the same boat as everybody. People have been voicing why the Hurt Business has been broken up. Still don't know to this day. But if there's one thing that I can have a theory about this thing on why they broke up the Hurt Business is either one, since Bobby is like the heel, maybe Bobby's trying to lead the fans into thinking that, oh yeah, we did break up. Not exactly, but I think maybe the Hurt Business by WrestleMania, they'll get themselves involved by helping out Bobby Lashley and try to fool Drew McIntyre by saying that, yeah, we helped you out, like we fooled you, fans. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking that the Hurt Business might do something along the lines of that, by fooling the fans and fooling Drew McIntyre, that they made us think that they broke up. Or another thing is, I know this might not make sense, but they might have Drew McIntyre sort of, maybe MVP may have bought out Drew McIntyre and probably have him, and thought that Bobby Lashley is like the weak link. And he probably might think that Bobby Lashley was too much of a weak champion to carry the Hurt Business. But at the same time, I don't know. They probably might go for two different things, or I don't know. It's very sketchy at this point. But if there's one thing that can help save this Hurt Business, is for the Hurt Business and Bobby Lashley to fool the fans.
I mean, that could happen too. And again, what I just wanted from this match itself was, I just wanted there to be a story, and I wanted McIntyre to have to win this match in difficult fashion. Yeah, I get MVP is going to be out there, but to have the entire Hurt Business out there makes it really difficult to win the WWE Championship when there's four guys against you. Yeah, there's the one guy in the ring, but there's the three other guys outside. So I think the logic on this, I get it. You want to break up the Hurt Business, but break them up after WrestleMania, because Bobby lost the title, or maybe he needed so much help, so he doesn't think he needs to. Do something after WrestleMania. I think breaking up the Hurt Business hurt this match, no pun intended. And I'm not as excited about this match as I was originally when the Hurt Business was, one of the dominant factions in pro wrestling, with the Raw Tag Team Champions. And the WWE champion, right? There's not a lot of groups that have that type of championship gold on them. RKJ, you had something to say?
So really quickly, Eric, kind of talking about your point a little bit, with this situation with the Hurt Business, I don't necessarily believe it's going to be a swerve, honestly, Eric. And the reason why I don't is because of that leaked information that the Hurt Business all went up to Vince McMahon and was like, hey, why are you breaking us up? It's way too early. And Vince just said no. I truly believe the WWE would have not let that information out if it wasn't a situation where they weren't going to try to swerve us. I think because that information came out, it's a situation where the WWE is saying the Hurt Business is dead, pretty much. And
it's so stupid, Eric. It's so stupid, right? Because they're not dead. Like, Retribution was dead. It made sense that
Retribution is dead, right, for
but
sure.
But the Hurt Business was like one of the only good things on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only thing that I think they were the only ones that were still holding on to Raw, even though at the same time Raw wasn't really getting them having too much ratings. But I think it was just in my theory, it's just a way to sort of kind of salvage the team, to sort of salvage it. I know for a fact, RKJ, like you're not wrong. There was that leaked information that why did they break up the Hurt Business? And McMahon's like, no, like break them up. And I was kind of like, oh man, I don't want to hear, like I didn't want to hear that, but maybe there might be a way for them to salvage the team, at least something, or maybe sort of swerve us, or maybe McMahon may have changed his mind, saying that, hey, you know what? At the opening of the bell, he said, all right, Hurt Business, you're gonna go in there and save Bobby Lashley and swerve everybody. Hopefully that might happen, but again, it's McMahon, it's his story. So you guys do whatever you.
Yeah, I'll say this too. I apologize. The Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were already barred from ringside. I forgot that it happened on Raw because I don't watch Raw every single week. So I just did a little research and I found out that is why they weren't originally in the match. So regardless, you don't need to break up the Hurt Business because, again, if McIntyre wins the title and Lashley gets a rematch, I want to see the Hurt Business involved. I want to make the match difficult for the face. That's the way pro wrestling works. And it's disappointing that's not the way it's going to work. I do think that Drew McIntyre wins this match because it's the first WWE event with fans. I've heard Vince say this before. He wants the crowd to be happy to start the show. So I think McIntyre wins. I do think, obviously, this match probably won't be the co-main event, but it will be earlier in the card if it's not first. And I think the night one wants the McIntyre win because I think maybe in the main event there might be a little bit of a disappointment for the fans. I'll get to that in a second. RKJ?
No, man, I just needed to ask this question because you brought up the fan situation. I've been really thinking about this all day too. And I don't remember, because I'm a big football fan, I don't remember how many people Tampa Bay allowed in their stadium for their football games this fall and how much the Super Bowl had, but I'm assuming, I heard it's going to be more than that. How much do we expect the fans to play impact throughout the night? Is it going to be like a lot of WrestleManias where they start off hot, midway through the match they get cold, maybe another match gets them in, and then we have to wait until the main event? Or are they going to stay hot all night? And how do you expect it? Are you going to expect to really hear the roar of the fans when, number one, they've got to wear masks, okay? And then number two, it's an open-air stadium. We've heard multiple performers talk about in open-air stadiums, the sound goes up. So you can't really hear the sound as much. So it doesn't sound on TV like the fans are really engaged because the sound is just going up to the heavens. So what do you guys think about that? How do you think the fans are going to make an impact on this WrestleMania compared to previous WrestleManias?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, we haven't heard fans at all for WWE. So I think it will sound fine. I mean, if you watch WrestleMania 35, literally 5 minutes before you watch WrestleMania 37, you're probably going to be a bit disappointed, but that's your own fault, right? And I was just watching an MLB game a second ago that had a sold-out stadium, and it sounded fucking great. Okay. Now I was watching before that. I was watching the Detroit Tigers game where there was about 3,000, 4,000 fans because they suck, not because the people they didn't allow more than that. But it sounded worse. And then when you watch the game with the full attendance, it sounds incredible. So I do think if they allow 40,000, 30,000 people, it's going to sound good. Because WWE's always been smart about having the mics around the ring and stuff like that. They'll do something to amplify the crowd, not in a fake way like they do for the Thunderdome. I think it will be fine, and I think the fans will only help out WrestleMania 37. And I think it's one of the reasons maybe why this build has not been as good, because I think they know that fans being back in the building will already make it more watchable in a lot of ways. Eric, what's your thoughts on what RKJ asked us?
I don't think there will be probably a difference, but you know, without a doubt, Nick, you are right about the fact that there's going to be like a lot of, during the Thunderdome, there has been like a lot of fake, cheers, and probably like they may have upgraded the boost of the audio, and they probably made the fans scream much more louder, or they added in extra fans. Hey, let's try to upgrade. Let's try to upgrade as much as we can, but. Without a doubt, this one, I know fans have been waiting to go to a wrestling show for almost a year now. So this is going to be one of those times where they're going to have a raw energy crowd at first. And by the end of the night, I think they're going to start to kind of like maybe settle down because, well, the good thing at the same time is like it's not going to have like 7 hours of wrestling. So that's a good thing. Yep. So that might help out the fans by getting more energy. It just depends on how much energy the fans have. That's all I look at.
Well, I'll say this: the energy question could be answered in a bit. I would expect it to be mostly an American crowd, considering the travel restrictions, and we all know the American crowd is maybe not better than the English crowd or the Irish crowds and stuff like that, and even the Mexican crowds and stuff like that. Like,
Hey, shouts to them, man.
yeah,
Shouts to
and
them.
Canada as well. Like, I mean, you could probably have Canadians, but we know how hard it is for NHL teams to even play in the U.S. I can't imagine how hard it is for a fan to go out into Florida and then go out back to Canada. I see it as more of an American crowd, so I think it will be a little less than you'd expect. But again, going to be better than nothing. And it's going to be better than fucking Thunderdome WrestleMania for sure. All right, we need to move on. That was the topic in itself, so I didn't mind talking about that, of course. All right, so we're going to talk about Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at the end of this Night 1 segment. We have 4 more matches that are on this card before that main event. I think we all agree Cesaro, Seth Rollins is probably the one that could potentially steal the show, right? Both those wrestlers' abilities. Cesaro has never wrestled on a WrestleMania card, so we know he's going to go all out. Seth Rollins always puts on a show at WrestleMania. He's had plenty of WrestleMania moments, so we all believe that will most likely steal the show. We're not necessarily going to go over that, but as far as the other 3 matches, you have Bad Bunny versus The Miz. That's a celebrity match, right? That's not going to be a normal pro wrestling match. You have the Raw Tag Team Championship, almost his debut, and you have Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in the Steel Cage. Which out of those 3 matches are we most excited about? Let's go around and just see if we agree or disagree. RKJ Man, you can go first. Out of those 3 matches, which one are you most excited about?
This is going to surprise you guys, but I've been hearing he's been putting in work at the Performance Center, y'all. I'm going with Bad Bunny versus The Miz. Okay, this is something that I think is going to be very interesting. I think they got a major superstar with a lot of influence in Bad Bunny. I know who Bad Bunny is. I've only listened to one song with Bad Bunny, though, and that's with Cardi B a long time ago. So a lot of you people who know about Bad Bunny, please feel free to tell me what other good songs he has. But, I mean, I think he has a lot of respect for the wrestling business. He's shown how much he loves the wrestling business. I heard he moved down to Orlando. Obviously, it's not like he can travel and whatnot and do a tour right now with all the COVID restrictions. And in fact, we're not all the way vaccinated yet. But, he has that commitment to being the best wrestler he can possibly be, even as a celebrity. So Triple H has mentioned it. A lot of people have mentioned it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got, because that right hook he threw The Miz a few weeks ago looked pretty legit. So Let's see what Bad Bunny's got in him. Nice.
Eric, what are you most excited about out of those 3 matches?
So the 3 matches is the Kofi Kingston and the Xavier Woods versus AJ Styles and Omos, right? And I'm going to have to go with, I'm probably going to have to go with this match that I think we kind of have low expectations, but I know it's not on the list, but it's going to have to be Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon, because I want this match to kind of prove me wrong, because the build-up for this one hasn't been all that great. So at least maybe the cage match, maybe there may be some a little bit, maybe that match may deliver. Besides the Cesaro, and I was going to say Cesaro and Seth Rollins, I was going to say that, which is no-brainer, but I just want the match between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon to prove me wrong. If it's going to be in a cage match, then okay. I mean, I guess there is some high stakes into this match, but overall the build-up hasn't been all that good. So we'll see. Hopefully it's one of those matches where it has a bad build-up, but has a good match at the end of the day. You know, because sometimes there's good build-ups, and then we have the match, and then the match is completely terrible. So we've had those kind of
And that's happened in a lot of WrestleManias lately. I'll say this too. To your point, RKJ, I can respect the hell out of Bad Bunny for training and doing the work to look right in the ring. We've seen plenty of celebrities not know what they're doing, look really stupid, and even, I respected the hell out of Shaq, what he did on AEW the other week, taking 2 table bumps, right? Sick. And then, Eric, to your point, like, we all know Shane McMahon takes the biggest bumps. What the hell's going to happen, right? If that doesn't happen, you kind of don't really have a match here. So I think it's more of, how is Braun Strowman going to destroy Shane McMahon's body at some point? I think that's last time we were at WrestleMania 35. Shane took a massive bump off a platform into the crowd, essentially. So that's what Shane's hired for, right? That's what Shane's there for. So I'm excited about that too. You know what though? I actually am excited. This is not planned. I actually am excited about Omos' debut and the fact that AJ Styles is in the ring with a New Day. I can get behind that. I can get behind Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles doing some good shit in the ring, along with you have that big badass almost standing there in the background as kind of a heavy, right? So, I'll go with that one. I'm excited about that one. And I think, again, that's one that really hasn't had that much of a build. Those are usually the ones where we have no expectations, and it's probably going to be a pretty solid match.
Well, I will say this in regards to the Omos situation. I've heard his matches in NXT weren't that good. And I hope he's been practicing training. The problem is I don't know how much training he's been doing at the Performance Center, because there's been a lot of outbreaks at the Performance Center with COVID. And from what I'm hearing, they're trying to separate main event talent from NXT stars because there's a lot of COVID outbreaks over at the Performance Center. So where is he getting his training at? Hopefully he's getting it from AJ Styles and Kofi and Xavier Woods. Those are three of the best guys in the business that he can get his training from and get some tips on. But good Lord, almost don't embarrass yourself on the biggest night of them all. Please, brother. Don't.
I agree. And again, there could be something that goes wrong in every single one of these matches, but we're going to try to look at it positively. And there are some things. WrestleMania could be actually a pretty cool event if everything does go right and they plan this out. Okay, let's move to the main event. Sasha Banks. This is the main event of day one. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. RKJ Man, I'm going to have you speak last on this because I know you have the most to talk about. Eric, I'll get your thoughts first on this. You know, this is the Royal Rumble winner. It's Bianca Belair was someone that we all wanted to pick for the Royal Rumble. We all wanted to see this match. What are your thoughts? And give me your winner, too.
Yeah, I mean, looks like this match hopefully it will deliver. This is something that we've been voicing, that Bianca Belair she might be a future Royal Rumble winner, and she's going to be one of those that's going to main event WrestleMania one of these days. I know the RKJ Man has been really hyping up Bianca Belair for quite some time, and I can totally understand. I can see the hype around Bianca Belair, and as well, she's proven that she's a main event player. So we'll see what happens between these two, between Bianca and Sasha. Hopefully they take some pretty good bumps, though, because just the way on how they've been just smack talking each other, they look like they can have a pretty good match, or maybe take it maybe to the extreme, maybe get into like some really big bumps, or maybe some brutal matches maybe in the future. But I know this will not be the last time we will see these two going at it later on. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd go with Bianca Belair. You know, I think she's been working hard for a while, so I think Bianca Belair, it would satisfy the crowd too. The fans would go bonkers if Bianca Belair were to win, and this would be a huge moment for Bianca, for her to come back, for her to come into the biggest stage of them all, main event WrestleMania, with a huge number of fans. I think it's suiting for Bianca to win the championship.
I'll say this. I think with this match, you know, there's got to be, if you're a pro wrestler for WWE and you're put on night one, right, you know you're not closing out this weekend. I expect the wrestlers on this show to go as hard as possible because they want to steal night two's thunder. I think this match between Sasha and Bianca Belair is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be everything we expect because both these women are awesome at pro wrestling. Sasha Banks arguably is the best pro wrestler as far as females go. And to be honest, a top 10, top 15 pro wrestler in the world, right? When you look at the way that women have been brought up in pro wrestling over the years, Sasha Banks is a whole different breed of wrestler. And Bianca Belair is right there behind her, you know? And she just doesn't have she still has her training wheels on a little bit, right? She just hasn't been shown to the audience as much. Sasha Banks being Snoop Dogg's cousin and being a world champion before, she's got that clout. And I think Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair are talking in the back right now, saying, we have to steal night one's thunder. We have to make this match sick. There's only 6-7 matches on this card, period. It reminds me a lot of NXT TakeOver on a Saturday night versus the WWE pay-per-view. I think night one is going to try to overall steal the show. That's why I like that they put Seth and Cesaro. That's why I like that they put Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And I think this is going to be a great match, and I think Sasha's going to win the match because I think that the way they've built this, Sasha's going to end up being the champ, and they've made Bianca Belair not look as good. So I'm going to take a little bit out of RKJ Man's playbook with the Drew McIntyre Bobby Lashley match. I'm going to go with Sasha Banks. She's a little more legitimate than a Bobby Lashley. I think she's able to overcome it, and I think eventually Bianca Belair wins the championship in a month or two. But I think Sasha's going to win, and maybe we see some interference or something like that. Something happened in this match at the end to really, you put a cherry on top. You have Sasha win as legitimate as possible, but you also have that. You don't have a bookend to the storyline because it's been a build, right? But it's only been a build towards WrestleMania. So that's what I have to say about that. I got Sasha Banks in a really, really good match. RKJ, your thoughts on this match?
Well, this is the matchup that I've been wanting for a while now, and the build has just been so disappointing for me. And the reason why it's been disappointing is because I've been advocating for this to be the main event. But I've been saying if the build is not there, then it shouldn't be the main event. Now, obviously, looking at all these matches, and especially considering the fact that I think that Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley will start the show. I think this has got to be the main event and will be the main event. And I think this could be one of those situations where it could be a crappy build, great matchup. Here's my thing. I don't think WWE still knows who they got in this matchup. I think that's part of the reason why the build has been so bad is because they don't even know who they want to be the champion at the end of the night after this matchup is done. But here's what I'm going to do, okay? The Women's Royal Rumble needs more prestige. In the first year that she won it, in the first year that it was won, Asuka, she lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania. Since then, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me on this, Nick, all the other champions who have won the Royal Rumble have become champions. All the other people who have won the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble, have become champions. I'll give you a chance to look that up. I think in order to make it more legitimate, Bianca Belair has to win this matchup. Now, do I believe Sasha Banks could turn heel in the middle of this matchup? Absolutely. But I think it's time to take off the training wheels, Nick. You said that Bianca Belair has had training wheels on her. It's time to take those off and let her ride by herself. Because the fact of the matter is this, I don't want to go into age in this situation, but Bianca Belair is actually older than Sasha Banks. So how much time do you have left to pull the trigger on this situation? We've seen this too many times where it's like, oh, we have time, and then all of a sudden their momentum goes down. Losing at WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner is a huge, huge issue, and that could derail maybe your entire career. So I don't believe you do that in this situation. I believe Bianca Belair needs this victory in order to solidify her as a main event talent on SmackDown and to put her in the perfect situation to be a top-tier talent in the WWE, especially since the fact that old guard, that four horsewomen, and including Alexa Bliss in there too, they're getting a little bit older. They're getting up there in age a little bit, and it's a situation where they might want to go and do other pursuits, and they might want to go and have other careers. It's not disrespect to them. It's just the fact of life. They are going to eventually not want to wrestle anymore. They're going to want to do other things. So let's go ahead and pull the trigger on Bianca Belair right now while it's a situation while we can do it.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. To correct you, RKJ Man, there's actually been more winners at WrestleMania than losers as far as the Royal Rumble goes. Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 35 beat Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte actually did beat Rhea Ripley last year. I assumed the same thing. I looked it up, and Charlotte won the NXT Championship from Rhea Ripley. Bad decision, but nonetheless, we've actually had more winners than losers. Asuka really is the only one.
But it's a situation where there's only been how many women's Royal Rumbles? Like
four or three that we've been able to actually see.
Okay, you gotta at least keep that percentage high enough. Like I think you gotta keep it at least 6, 7 in a row before somebody loses after being a Royal Rumble winner. And I think Bianca Belair needs it more, and it's time to take off the training wheels and put her in a great situation because we don't know how much longer these top-tier women have left in the WWE. They're going to move on eventually.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we heard Sasha Banks on her interview with Steve Austin say that she did want to have pursuits outside of wrestling. I don't know how, if you're Charlotte Flair, you have a pursuit outside of wrestling with that last name, but nonetheless, Becky Lynch should be returning soon, but obviously she's had a child and she's been out for a while now. I wouldn't blame you if Alexa Bliss didn't want to do it. She's done a lot in pro wrestling. She's won every title you can win. RKJ?
Really quickly, side note, Charlotte Flair has actually trademarked the name Ashley Flair in the Queen of Wrestling. She's trademarked that, along with Andrade trademarked some things too about a year or two ago, right before the pandemic. So look for that in the future with that situation.
Good for them too, because I think obviously WWE controls those names when they're young as well, so that's a smart move by both of them. And Andrade obviously going to be able to use that soon. So let's, Eric, I forget you. Did you give your prediction for McIntyre and Strowman? Just tell me your winner really quickly.
It's actually McIntyre and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. I think Bobby Lashley retains.
Okay.
I think Bobby Lashley's still champion.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's move to night 2. I think a lot would say that this is the better card out of the two, and it probably should be, considering that it's the Sunday WrestleMania card. We have 4 championships being defended on this card. You have The Fiend versus Randy Orton, and of course you have the main event of Roman Reigns versus Edge and Daniel Bryan, which now overtakes what would have been Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, we all thought, being the main event of night 2. They've made it enough to be the main event of night 2 with Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. So again, we have some matches that weren't built as well on this. You have Riddle and Sheamus for the United States Championship that essentially has only been built since after Fastlane. Asuka and Rhea Ripley, which has been built out of absolutely nowhere. And then you have a lot of solid matches on this card with the 6 that are already projected. You have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with Logan Paul's involvement. That has come out of nowhere, but Logan Paul, obviously, in the ire of a lot of people, he's now a professional boxer. He has the ire of Floyd Mayweather. He now is involved with WWE. The guy is doing everything he can to be on the Ring Generals podcast, it seems. You have Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. This has been a solid build. I'll give my opinion on that in a second, because I think that it's been a little bit more disappointing than you'd expect. The Fiend versus Randy Orton. We don't know what the hell that's going to be. And then, of course, you have Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. So, guys, I'll go over Big E and Apollo Crews really quick. I'll just give my opinion. You guys can respond. You don't have to give your opinion on this match. I really wish they hadn't had this match at Fastlane, because this has been one of the better, the build to Fastlane was awesome for Apollo Crews and Big E. It actually made me want to watch that specific match at Fastlane. And I just think with this new Apollo Crews character and the fact that Big E is, he's the champ and he's not part of this New Day BS, right? And I don't mean to disrespect the New Day, but it was getting a little ridiculous with the pancakes after Kofi had won the title and stuff like that. I'm glad Big E has branched off, and now, he's creating rivalries, he's creating stories, he's creating memories by himself. And in his first real big feud going into WrestleMania, it's been awesome. I just wish this was the first time they were wrestling, because the ending of that match was awful at Fastlane. And now it's like, yeah, I guess there's nothing better to it. But I was really disappointed that this was not just built all the way to WrestleMania. And again, it prefaces why the fuck we need a pay-per-view before WrestleMania, 3 weeks before. Again, this is a match that was ruined by that. But it still should be good. And I hope that, Apollo Crews comes to play. I know Big E will. And I believe Apollo said on SmackDown that it's going to be an African drum match or something like that. Should be interesting to see what that is. But I'm definitely excited about this match, but I could have been more excited if it weren't for the Fastlane pay-per-view.
So, really quickly, Nick, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm so glad Big E is free of the pancake porn that the New Day was out there producing on our televisions every week. He needed to be, he was the one guy out of that group who besides Kofi, I looked at and I said, okay, this dude is a main event talent. And I'm glad that they have pulled the trigger on him a lot more. And I think he's on the road to doing something major in the main event scene on SmackDown. In regards to this matchup, though, man, I agree with you, Nick. It sucks that they had that matchup at Fastlane because it was being built so good. You could have found a way for Apollo Crews to duck and dive until WrestleMania, until he needed an opportunity. He was like, you know what? I've got to face him. It's got to happen. Yeah. Adam Pearce could have come out and be like, this has got to stop. You guys are going to kill each other. You guys have got to face each other. In regards to who I think is winning this matchup, you got to give this one to Apollo Crews. My rule of thumb is, and I've said this on previous podcasts, on previous WrestleManias, is you're going to have at least one match disappoint the crowd. One babyface is not coming out victorious at the show of shows at WrestleMania. And this is probably going to be it. I'm going to be quite frank with y'all, because Apollo Crews right now is on a roll right now. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad for Big E, because we can talk about it later depending on what happens on the main event. But I really think that frees up Big E for a chance after WrestleMania, when they're willing to experiment a little bit more and do some things that are a little bit different out of the box, when less people are watching, because WrestleMania and that buzz is over, is for him to be.
You got disconnected.
The win.
Yeah, RKJ, we lost it for like 15 seconds there. So just go over what you were just saying in the last 20 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying in regards to the main event situation on SmackDown in the future, it's not necessarily a bad thing if Big E loses this matchup. And the reason why it's not a bad thing for him is because after WrestleMania, traditionally, they like to try different things. Less people are watching. The views do go down a little bit because, hey, that buzz to WrestleMania, that big-time feeling is gone. There will not be fans in their new Thunderdome anymore, too. So that's going to not attract people anymore to the product as well. So you could put Big E in that situation against whoever wins that championship match later on that night, and you're giving the rub to Apollo Crews to go up against some top baby faces on SmackDown in the mid-card. I think it's a win-win, and I think Apollo Crews is coming out as a champion.
I would agree with you on that, and then it would also give the chance for a third match, a match at like Backlash or whatever the next pay-per-view is, and you really go all out, and you have them beat the shit out of each other, and you have a definitive winner. And both guys, I think, could be that definitive winner. I think you probably go with Big E in the long run, but I absolutely think Apollo Crews deserves this WrestleMania moment as well. Although Big E does too. Apollo Crews been a lot like Cesaro. Really hasn't had a WrestleMania match before. As surprising as talented as the guy is, finally he has his role. I hope he wins it. Eric, I want to turn to you about The Fiend and Randy Orton real quick. Okay. This guy, I think we were really excited about The Fiend. He's got the sick entrance music. He's got the cool clothing. I personally think his new look looks great. I know a lot of people shit on it, but I just think, you know what? That's what he should look like. He got burned, and it's a different look. And I feel like he's going to absolutely demolish Randy Orton. But, Eric, I want to know what you want to see out of this. What do you want to see out of the entire Fiend experience? You have a stadium. You have a pirate ship. You have everything. What does Eric Santos, a fan of heavy metal, want to see from The Fiend this weekend?
Well, first of all, the people who shit on The Fiend's new look have not seen a horror movie at all, and they don't even know what good horror movies are, so I'm disappointed in them, too. But without a doubt, I'm excited for this match, let alone I'm glad that The Fiend is back with a whole new look. As you said, Nick, he got burned, and so that's how The Fiend should look like when he's, there's no, I don't think there's like another mask that he can use. I don't know, but it's a good way to continue the storyline from where he got burned, and this is another way for him to show this whole new look in front of a stadium. I'm pretty sure we're going to expect a really good entrance from him. No doubt. Him and Alexa Bliss. So both of them are going to come out. They go all out with their entrances for WrestleMania. First time with the crowd. And this is another good way to still salvage the Fiend character, Bray Wyatt. So if you're going to salvage the character, you're going to have him go over. You're going to have the Fiend go over in this one to beat Randy Orton. So Randy Orton has had his part. He actually had his moment where he burned him, and so now this is Bray Wyatt's revenge, and it would make sense for him to come back and him to win the match. But I can see this match. I would see a little bit of, I think The Fiend, what he would do is probably pull out a couple of tricks up his sleeve. I wouldn't necessarily see this like a full-on wrestling match. I would see it more of Bray Wyatt he'll try to burn Randy Orton in this one. He'll probably come up with different tactics. He'll probably use weapons in this one. But Bray's mostly his stuff from the house, from his house, firehouse, whatever. His house of, I'm tripping out on this one.
Firefly Funhouse. This is
Firefly Funhouse. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. So without a doubt, I can see he can probably put up weapons from it. So I can see him use it for Randy Orton. But Bray Wyatt, without a doubt, I think he's going to go over this one.
RKJ, do you agree with me that this should not be cinematic?
Yeah, I'm tired of the cinematic shit, to be honest with you. Like, it's got to stop. Like, we're relying on this whole situation because there was no fans, and this one is going to have fans, so there should not be any more cinematic stuff. I mean, the only reason why maybe they're doing cinematic stuff is because maybe they don't trust in Bray Wyatt's wrestling ability. Because if you look back at previous WrestleManias, his wrestling matches haven't been the greatest. And he's not really known for being the best worker. He's known for being the best character guy. Mm-hmm. So if there's a situation going on where they don't trust his wrestling ability, I mean, will I be shocked at their cinema? No. Will I be disappointed? Yes. But I just want to say this really quick, okay? I don't want to see any more demonic stuff really quickly because it just makes it awkward because then I have my dad over here on the side like, what do you want, son? So then I got to explain what's going on. So please, can there just not be any demonic stuff? Because then I have to awkwardly because I can't watch that because I can't watch those types of things because that's Satan. So I'm trying to stay away from the devil, okay? We just had Easter yesterday. I'm trying to stay far away from the devil as possible, okay? So I don't want to see that, but I do want to see a good matchup.
So RKJ Man is probably not watching the most recent Lil Nas X music video then, correct? Right? Yeah. You're not watching any of that?
No, I'm not watching that either. Him making out with Satan or whatever he was doing. I don't know what he was doing.
Is interesting, that music video, I will say that, and that's the last comment I will make on that end. I'll say this, to counter off what RKJ Man said, I think that you have Bray Wyatt and you have Randy Orton, and Randy Orton can hang in with the best of them. He can make any match good, and Randy Orton is obviously in a really good place in his career. I think Randy Orton will make this match memorable in itself, and I hope it's a match. Like, I hope it's not a 3-minute drubbing. I hope that the Fiend looks really powerful, and Randy uses his, great professional wrestling skills to try to beat a Fiend. But in the end, I think the Fiend should win this match, and Randy Orton absolutely should not go over in this match. If Randy Orton goes over this match, might as well just send Bray Wyatt to AEW at that point because he would have no standing in WWE anymore. All right, so RKJ Man, I want to pose this to you. You are not a big Logan Paul guy. Eric and I follow this guy a lot. What do you think about his involvement to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? Is it a good thing? Does it make the match better, or do you think it's a waste of time?
I think it's a desperate attempt by the WWE to be relevant in a matchup that does not feel like something that we want to watch, to be honest with you. We've seen Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens wrestle a million times, whether it's in WWE or outside of WWE. So, I mean, I guess that's just a new element that they're adding in an attempt because of Sami Zayn's documentary whole thing going on. It's just a whole attempt to add something different and unique. There's only 2 questions. There's only one big question, actually, that I have. Will Kevin Owens find a way to jump off that big pyro shit?
That's right.
James Stadium, because last year he said he wanted to do it. He couldn't do it because of the pandemic. He jumped off the little WrestleMania thing inside the Performance Center. We can all agree it was a nice moment, but it was not as big as jumping off a damn pirate ship. So if he jumps off the pirate ship, then I'll say this matchup was fantastic. I don't care what happened previously. But if he doesn't jump off the pirate ship, then there's no reason to have this matchup.
I'll say this. Maybe a giveaway on SmackDown this past Friday was Sami Zayn attacking Kevin Owens, knocking over some stuff. Maybe we have a Falls Count Anywhere announcement coming up this Friday or something to allow that to happen. Because I think, again, this is one of those things where, yes, it may be predictable if they announce Falls Count Anywhere, but nobody gives a shit. We just want to see Kevin Owens do it. We just want to see him do it. And maybe Logan Paul will likely have an involvement. Maybe he moves Sami out of the way and something like that. And maybe we have a Logan Paul involvement with Kevin Owens later on. RKJ?
What's so great about this Logan Paul dude, by the way? Like, what? I mean, I know he has a ton of subscribers and whatnot. We should look up to him as YouTube influencer. But I don't really see what's so great about him.
Well, I'll say this.
And hold on, real quickly.
Okay.
Sami Zayn stole that segment on SmackDown with his dancing, man. Have you seen him? That dude has moves. He has better moves than I do, okay?
No, okay. RKJ, you saying someone has better moves than you do is not that big of a deal because everyone has better moves than you do, okay? So, but nonetheless, maybe Jesse has worse moves than RKJ. I'll throw that out there. And he's not on the podcast, so he gets that kind of shit. But
I know because we've been in the pandemic, though. Y'all don't know what I'm going to bring when we go back to the clubs.
RKJ is fully vaccinated at this point. So the full RKJ is coming back, which is a scary thing for the rest of the United States of America. But, maybe it'll be RKJ jumping off the pirate ship on Sunday. We don't know.
And that new variant is the RKJ variant, baby. It ain't COVID. It's RKJ.
I'll say this. Logan Paul started out as one of the most hated people in the world, and somehow every other YouTuber has become worse than Logan Paul, amazingly. You know what I'm talking about, and you know who I'm talking about if you follow any of that entertainment business. Logan Paul, RKJ, I think it's the hateability factor. That's what is about him. He's got that along with Jake, who's fighting Ben Askren, which we'll be talking about next week in a boxing match. Logan Paul knows how to draw an audience. He knows how to talk shit. He knows how to get people to hate him to buy fights. He knows how to get people to hate watch him, right? We hate watch wrestling sometimes. Logan Paul was an expert at that, and essentially he's built a career on annoying people and making himself look like an asshole, whether he is in real life or not. So you look at the Colby Covingtons, the Floyd Mayweathers, countless others. He's a guy that has the hateability factor. That's what's so attractive about Logan Paul.
So let's be honest here. Now that we know all this information, Logan Paul's going to turn on Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens is going to stun him. He's going to win the match 1, 2, 3, and we're going to move on with our lives, right?
I don't know. I mean, again, Logan Paul should be playing a heel. Probably he's a heel in every other business he's in, so I don't know why he'd come into WWE and be a face. All right, so real quickly before we get to the main event, real quick prediction. Eric, Riddle versus Sheamus, who you got in this U.S. Championship match?
Don't know really much about this match, but if I would have to go with somebody, it's going to have to be maybe Sheamus.
I love that answer. I fucking love that answer. Because that's exactly why I asked it like that. I think Sheamus should win as well. RKJ, who do you think wins the match? No need to analyze it at all. Just tell him, give me a winner.
I really don't care, to be honest with you. I honestly don't care. It's Matt Riddle.
Actually, it's just Riddle.
I'm sorry. It's just Riddle. Honestly, I think Vince McMahon has this weird fascination with Riddle or whatnot. I don't know what it is, but he has this weird fascination. I think Riddle's going to win this. Feel good moment. He's going to do something stupid. He's going to win.
I hope he doesn't. All right. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. I'll get my prediction on this really quick first. Rhea Ripley has to fucking win this match because Asuka is non-existent on TV. Rhea Ripley is a star. She's the future, a lot like we were talking about Bianca Belair. Rhea Ripley needs to be that new generation. They've ruined Asuka, so why give her any clout in this business? RKJ, who you got in this match?
First of all, I'm not necessarily so certain that Charlotte Flair is going to be left off this WrestleMania card. I think she has gotten over her bout with COVID. That whole situation, I guess we heard with the pregnancy situation, she's gotten over that situation. I heard last week, I believe, she was at Monday Night Raw, and there was some speculation that she would come out during that match or during that contract signing. She did not. I guess it's because, well, Internet, you ruined it for us. So maybe that's a good thing, Internet. But it's a situation where I do think Rhea Ripley is winning this matchup regardless of whether it's a one-on-one singles match or whether it's a triple threat match. I think Rhea Ripley's winning it. The only good thing is if it's a triple threat match, it puts Asuka in a better situation. Hopefully she doesn't have to take the pin so she can have a right for a rematch later on down the road.
I'll say this. I hope at least Asuka brings the Asuka from NXT in this match. That's all I'll say about that. Eric, who you got in this match?
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing much of a build-up for this one, but we can all agree that fans have been backing Rhea Ripley for quite some time, and they've been waiting to see Rhea Ripley to win the title from the main roster. Let's go with Rhea Ripley. That's it.
Rhea Ripley. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the match we all want to talk about. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. Triple threat match. Edge has turned heel in the process. Daniel Bryan found a way to be added to this match. Roman Reigns has continually either tapped or almost tapped to Daniel Bryan. They've done a solid job of building this match after what we thought was not going to be the best build. This is the most attractive match for me, and I think we can all agree probably the most attractive match on the entire card. It's a legitimate reason to buy a pay-per-view, this kind of match. You have Roman Reigns, who battled leukemia a couple years ago as the champ. You have Daniel Bryan, who just returned to wrestling a couple years ago after neck issues. And, of course, we all know Edge's story. So incredible that these three men are main eventing WrestleMania after what the hell has happened with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and Edge the last couple of years. Now, saying that, storyline built around this is that, again, Roman Reigns has tapped the Daniel Bryan. Edge has turned heel. He's now the rated R superstar on a TV PG show. I don't know how that works. I don't like it. Might as well go with something new, reinvent your character like Chris Jericho. But nonetheless, not everybody can be Y2J, right? And not everybody can switch content and go on to different shows and stuff like that. But RKJ, you get the first crack at this. You can talk as much as you want about this match. This is essentially, we have the rest of the podcast to talk about this big main event. Give me your take on this match. And if you want to give your winner, you can. If you don't, then we'll do them all at the end.
Man, this is so tough because I can honestly argue that all three of these guys should win this matchup. It just makes sense. But I will say this, the elephant in the room next year, The Rock. There is a rumor, there's a report that was done earlier this year that The Rock will be going to WrestleMania next year, that will most likely happen. And if that is the case, you have to put Roman Reigns in the best possible situation to succeed. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when I look at this fight, if you're booking this for right now in the future, then I think if you're booking this right now in the present, then I think it makes sense for Daniel Bryan to win because you don't know how much longer he has left before he's no longer an active wrestler. He's talked about it multiple times, and I think Edge has still got maybe 1 to 2 more years left. You can still give him the championship if you so please. But if I'm this fan and I'm thinking about next year and you want to see WrestleMania kind of lap over from year to year to year and kind of connect, then I think Roman Reigns needs to win this matchup. He needs to stay as strong and as dominant as possible. I am so down for a 2-year reign for him to go into WrestleMania next year in Dallas versus The Rock. 100-something thousand fans in there. No more COVID, baby. And we've got Roman Reigns versus The Rock, title versus career. And that is what I'm thinking is going to happen. So my pick for this matchup is Roman Reigns, just barely, with some screwery in the middle.
Okay, I'll say this. Now, this is why this match is fun to analyze, because what you said, I don't disagree with. But Roman Reigns doesn't have to win this match for what you said can happen. And it's easy. Someone gets pinned besides him. And that's the element of the triple threat match that's good and designed for Roman Reigns to possibly lose this title, or at least create the illusion that Roman Reigns is going to lose this title because it's triple threat. Will he? Maybe not, right? Because he has been the most dominant champion. But again, they've also built, like I've said multiple times, he's fucking tapped to Daniel Bryan. Okay? It's like we hadn't seen Conor McGregor get knocked out, and then Dustin Poirier knocks him out in the second round. Shocking, right? It can happen, right? And so what they planted in us is that now Roman Reigns can get tapped out. Okay? He can tap out. He can lose in a match for his championship. So my prediction is that Roman Reigns does not win this championship. Will Roman Reigns get the championship back within a month or two? Absolutely, he will. But he will not win this match. I will reveal my winner at the end of this because I really want to hear what Eric has to say about this match, because I am having trouble picking between Edge and Daniel Bryan. And RKJ Man, I want to get your take on if Daniel Bryan and who could win out of those two in a second. But Eric, what are your thoughts on this match? And give me your winner as well.
There's no doubt Roman Reigns has been on a collision course. He's been the dominant champion. He's proven to be one of the best heels right now in the business. It can go all three ways, no doubt about it. But I just don't see Roman winning this one because Roman Reigns, he can. I feel like he can lose to this. He can lose the belt, and he can always get it back. Roman, he can probably say along the lines of, "Oh, I wasn't ready. Oh well, I guess the crowd here in Raymond James was just too I hated the crowd, and so that's why I wasn't so concentrated. So screw you, fans. So it's a good way to also get the fans involved and just get more hate, more heat. I would love to see Daniel Bryan to have one more title reign and see where he can go from here. Daniel Bryan has proven that he once again can reinvent himself as well, and so Daniel Bryan, I think that he can also be champion, but I might also want to throw out my winner on this one, but just by seeing how even though Edge, he's back as his usual self, it was just a matter of time for Edge to come back and be the heel that he is. We were just waiting for that to happen, and I think a lot of fans have been saying that, oh, well, when are we gonna get the old heel Edge guy that we used to hate back in 06 and 07 around that time, and so when are we gonna get that? So I think I would see, just by how WWE is so tight with Edge, and I think McMahon has been so behind on Edge for quite a while, and he just wants to see if Edge can have one more title reign, because they want to see if the veteran of WWE like Edge can still go. And so I guess WWE, they want to see if Edge can still go and have one more title reign. It's also a good way to get more heat from the fans, and so. But at the same time, it's also going to steal a lot of the heat, a lot of the momentum from Roman Reigns at the same time. But I think WWE wants to see if Edge can still have one more title reign. As much as I want Daniel Bryan to win, and I think Daniel Bryan should win this one, but just by how WWE is seeing this whole thing and how they've been building up Edge and how they've been keeping him as the heel, I think they want to have Edge as the champion. And so, yeah.
Dude, I mean, you built that up so well. I'm sitting here like, is he gonna say Edge? Okay. Yeah. No, I love that, Eric. That's you make a good point. RKJ Man, you said that something screwy is gonna happen. What do you mean by that? So here's what I think. Okay, you have Edge. He's the rated R superstar. Who was he the rated R superstar with most of his career?
Lita.
Okay. Why can't we have Lita involved in this, right? I'm not saying I want it, but I'm saying, wouldn't that be pretty sick? They just did a sort of documentary of one of my favorite matches of all time, Mick Foley and Edge at WrestleMania 22. Lita had a lot of involvement in that match. Maybe we have Mick Foley involved, right? I don't know. I'm just saying. RKJ Man, I want to pose one question to you before I give my prediction. Does The Rock get involved in this match?
Damn it, Nick. It would be fantastic if The Rock got involved in this matchup. But unfortunately, I think The Rock is too busy right now. And I think he's got a lot of things on his plate. And I think we will definitely see him next year, because guess what comes out next year? The Rock's XFL comes out in 2022 next year as well. So that's something also to think about. No, we won't get The Rock. As in regards to Lita, Nick, it's a great booking, and it's a great situation for Lita to go out on top, because the way she left WWE, I know, always bothers her. And I know she's always had a situation where she's been able to come back and the fans have cheered her. But I think that whole situation with Edge kind of bothered her in the way things went on. So I'd be okay if that was the finish. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think all parties involved are going to agree into something in time enough to get Lita down here. But here's my question to you guys.
Okay.
Is Roman Reigns really going to be booed at this WrestleMania with fans? You're going to have a combination of people who liked him as the big dog and a combination of people who are respecting his work as the top heel in all of pro wrestling, possibly. Is he going to be booed? If that's the case, he's not really the heel in that situation.
Okay, it's hard because, again, we haven't seen fans to know that. Eric, do you think he's going to get booed? I think he'll get booed because it's a thing to do for Roman Reigns. What do you think?
There will be boos for Roman Reigns. There's going to be a mix of boos for Edge, because even though people love Edge, but at the same time, he still wants to keep that heel. Full on, Roman Reigns has become a full-on heel, and so I can see more of a boo for Roman.
There's a lot of good points made so far in this podcast. I want to make one more point. We've heard that Daniel Bryan has some sort of creative control. We've heard that Edge has some sort of creative control. We all know Roman has probably some sort of creative control. He's with Paul Heyman as well. This match is so unpredictable because you got 3 guys who can decide this match. RKJ Man, you said Roman Reigns. Eric, you said Edge. Again, we did not plan this. I'm going with Daniel Bryan. I don't think there's any reason why you put him in this match besides the fact that you want, once again, the happy ending. Okay? Vince McMahon has said it in the past. We didn't do this because we wanted a happy ending. We've heard it time and time again. The first WrestleMania with fans, I think the WrestleMania on Saturday will start with a good ending, and I think it will end with a good ending. I think Daniel Bryan, because Edge turned heel, that gave away that Daniel Bryan's going to win for me. And I think he pins Edge as well. I think it's Daniel Bryan pins Edge. Roman's knocked out of the ring. And we have no screwery. It's just a match, and that's the way it is. Maybe Paul Heyman gets involved, all that stuff. RKJ, you had something to say real quick?
To your point, this does seem awfully similar to Daniel Bryan's Road to WrestleMania 30 storyline, which I think we can all agree was the last really good Road to WrestleMania, really good main event build. And that was also a triple threat matchup between 2 established stars that Daniel Bryan had to overcome.
Yeah.
So I think it's looking eerily similar to that. And I think if you're looking at it from that point, then Daniel Bryan's winning. You give him one last championship to kind of send him home happy before he goes and retires.
Eric, I wanted to ask you one question, then we'll end the podcast after this. I asked RKJ about The Rock. I'm going to ask you about Brock. Do you think Brock Lesnar has involvement in this match, considering Paul Heyman's out there and he was rumored to be at this WrestleMania for months and months and months?
I want to buy into that, but I don't think so. I think just Paul Heyman's just too locked up with Roman Reigns. We might see Brock in the future. I wouldn't doubt that, but as of right now for WrestleMania, just by seeing how Paul Heyman is close to Roman, no, I don't think so.
I'll say this, good booking. Potentially you could have Brock screw over Roman and Paul Heyman leave Roman. And you could have Daniel Bryan versus Edge for the championship. And you could have Roman and Brock do something at the next pay-per-view, which would be sick, not even involving the title. That, again, it leaves Roman Reigns time to regain the title because RKJ, I agree with you, that Rock match is going to happen. So lots of interesting stuff. I hope that we laid out as many examples, at least for that main event, that could possibly happen. We hope that you enjoyed all our analysis on this pay-per-view. This is our WrestleMania preview. Next week, real quick, Ben Askren versus Jake Paul we will be talking about. We will also be talking about probably the latest and greatest in MMA news. And, of course, we'll be reviewing WrestleMania because there's going to be some shit that went down and through this whole weekend, right? Maybe we'll have another fan tackle somebody at the Hall of Fame ceremony, or we'll have somebody from NXT join the roster.
Give me ideas, man.
You know, I'm just saying.
Well, give me the ideas, Nick. There's crazy people out there.
Chris Jericho is on the WWE Network, Peacock, this weekend as well, right before WrestleMania. So a lot to talk about next week. RKJ Man, though, we need to end this podcast. I need to get the hell out of this house real quick. I'm already running late. RKJ, take this podcast away.
Hey, man. Real quick, thank y'all so much for your support over the past couple of weeks. You have been amazing. But do me a favor. Like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.